coordinate the supply and trafficking of drugs, that have power. That a lot of people have not been able to bring the book. That's a major problem. If you do that, you bust the cartels, you bust people. But these cartels are very strong as themselves. They have political powers.
Some Nigerians are skeptical about the stand of Bola Ahmed Tinubu against drugs. Yes, you heard me right. Now, why are they skeptical? It is as a result of the allegation that has been laid down over time. A lot of people who felt that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not the right person to occupy political position went deep, dug deep, and they came up with Bola Ahmed Tinubu's tie with certain drug barons in the United States of America. And some have even alleged that Bola Ahmed Tinubu still is involved in running some of these, cartel all over Africa. And some even alleged that Bola Ahmed Tinubu transferred the runnings of this to a young man from the southeast of Nigeria called E-Money. Now, I'm not going to go into that because all of this, like I said, allegation is not that the United States confirmed that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a drug baron. What we saw, evidence that we saw, document that we saw indicates and shows that Bola Ahmed Tinubu forfeited certain amount of money that was transferred from certain groups of people or individuals that are into drugs. Now, let us go to what is happening presently. The scourge of substance abuse, drugs is is going out of hands. I mean, it is crazy. And this prompted about 45 to 54, 55 thereabout head of states of different countries to come together, since it is a trans-border enterprise. Well, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to spearhead this, is going to add his own quota to it. Now, if you go to the southeast of Nigeria, there is this popular, drug that has taken hold of the southeast of Nigeria. Before, it used to be the northern part of Nigeria. They could go as low as sniffing fumes from petrol tankers and all of that. Now, in the southwest of Nigeria and generally all over Nigeria, we have different range of synthetic marijuana and many other things that have been combined together. Now, this is kind of connected to the passing away of a Nigerian singer called Mohbad. There are indications that he is heavily involved in substance abuse, and not just him alone, himself and the crew that he belongs to, aside some other violent and mysterious issue that surrounds the passing away of this young man. We will be listening to some analysis and we'll be talking more about it as we'll proceed. Like I said, a lot of people are weary. How will Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has been accused till date, it seems he's not clear of it. There are people who are still looking at him, adding extra to it, saying that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is this, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is that. How is it possible? Coupled with Ndlea busting of certain big warehouses where huge deposits of this substance were found, without actually bringing out the kingpin. Who is the bureau? Who is in charge? What is really going on? Why have they decided to keep this quiet and silent? Is it that there are some untouchables, high up people? People have donated, people are connected to politics. Of course, you know the story of Abakari. Without further ado, let us listen and we'll talk more.
Top on the agenda will be discussions and collaborations on alternative development to cannabis cultivation, trends and partnerships over assets for future, cryptocurrency and money laundering involving drug cartels, among others. The Secretary to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency made the announcement on Tuesday, stating that the meeting, which is a subsidiary body of the United Nations Commissions on Narcotic Drugs, is to enable heads of drug law enforcement agencies in Africa to discuss and develop strategies to combat drug trafficking and abuse in the region. I think this is such an important meeting, Dr. Abati, and you know the menace of drug among especially our youth in Nigeria. I mean, it's now come back to limelight, owing to the fact that, Mohbad died, and there's a lot of stories about, the Ndlea, whether they arrested Mohbad at one point, and, the Malian records. The news is also coming as the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency last week debunked rumors that the agency poisoned late singer Mohbad after a video surfaced online in which the late singer could be heard saying that he was poisoned by the Ndlea. The spokesperson of the Anti-Narcotics Agency in a post on X also clarified that Mohbad was not among the Malian music acts arrested by the agency in 2022, as speculated on social media. Dr. Abati.
One, I think the clarification by the Ndlea is very important because that story was out there.
Yes.
There were also some family members who were alleging that there was poison involved and all of that. But I think a lot more still needs to be done in terms of public education, youth education. So many Nigerian youths, it's not just because they are musicians or they are artists, who are on drugs. They call it, sometimes they have codes for it. They call it a biscuit. When you hear biscuit, you think it's the normal biscuit. It's not biscuit. Or they call it eja, meaning fish. When you hear eja, it's a code for, and you have this increasing population of young people, particularly at the secondary school level, who are either taking marijuana or they are taking some other harmful substances. And then, of course, the effort of government is not just the focus. I think parents, community, churches, places of religious worship also have to be involved in this campaign. I mean, look at our country, so religious, okay? At every corner you see a place of religious worship, but at the same time, you'll find that, we have this issue of drug trafficking. Nigeria used to be a transit point, but now it's a major consumption center, and that's why, it's so much concern and it's spreading. But I think the Ndlea so far is doing a good job. They just need to be given more support, to deepen the effort.
All right. Okay.
I mean, I'd like to do commendations to the Ndlea under the leadership of Buba Marwa. He's done a lot of very good work as regards fishing these people out. I mean, it's under Ndlea. We saw the relations of somebody like Abba Kyari, the police guy, to a drug syndicates, which is quite very sad. But yeah, we've talked about advocacy, against drug abuse and the likes and things like that. But the major reason for proliferation of drug abuse is because people high up there, one way or the other, find themselves into this circle. And these big drug cartels in Nigeria cannot be touched. That's the principle, pure and simple. I mean, you saw government officials, being caught in all of this. You saw all sorts happening. That's the reason. You saw the last work Ndlea did as regards busting a syndicate out there in the corridor, and you'll be shocked the mammoth amount of drugs we have. But if you have a country where someone like Abba Kyari could have been linked to drug, a top police chief, then that's the free reign of drug in the country. So apart from all the advocacy and telling people don't do this, don't do that, it's also the willingness of the government to be able to bring down people that are high and mighty. Because you see these drug cartels, they're quite a lot of power. Look at what Sinaloa is doing in Mexico and the likes. So the high and mighty, if you can bring them to book, it will stop. But the problem is, do we have the political will and the strength to be able to bring the high and mighty that are involved or connected with drugs to book? That's one thing we've lacked over the years. Today, I'm shocked at the way marijuana is common property. I remember back in the days, people, you can't smoke marijuana and be proud of it in public. But today, when you even see law enforcement officers smoking marijuana in public.
Music videos and all of that.
Music videos, horrible. Popularization of marijuana.
Yeah.
And politicians use these musicians, for their political campaigns. So that's the problem. And that's what we're having in society here. So it's really about the big people that coordinate the supply and trafficking of drugs that have power. There are a lot of people who have not been able to bring the book. That's a major problem. If you do that, you bust the cartels, you bust people. But these cartels are very strong as themselves. They have political powers.
Welcome back. Well, you heard it all. Now, like I said at the beginning, I said a lot of people are skeptical. They do not believe that Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be able to spearhead or actually fulfill what he said, and that he is going to be, involved in this drugs, drug trafficking, substance trafficking, and that a lot needs to be done. And you all know what happened back in those days when this cough syrup was in vogue. People mix the cough syrup with soda. Like Coca-Cola and the rest of that. They will mix this and use this as a form of, kind of getting themselves into a different mood or world. And many others, you hear colos, you hear cookies, you hear a lot. They even sing songs such as Science Student. That's from Olamide. All of those songs to glorify substance abuse. And even the late Mohbad, he was even more vulgar about it. And, with his crew, and many of them, we see all of them sing in such a manner, and they repeat, eye on colos, eye on that, eye on, they say a lot of things. They say a lot of things. And when you hear the songs and you're a young person, there's a huge possibility of you thinking this is the life, and you want to get yourself involved in it. Back in those days, it used to be the West. When I say the West, I mean the Caucasians, Europe, America, Canada, Australia. It used to be those countries that had problems of substance abuse. Of course, they still have issues. They have problems today. Africa wasn't not really much into it. Of course, we had marijuana. We had people who will engage in such, but it wasn't as much as what it is right now. But now people could, go on social media and begin to have a forum or a kind of WhatsApp group where they exchange ideas on how to run themselves crazy, run themselves mad on drugs or substance. It's as terrible as that. It's as bad as that. So the government anyway is saying that they are going to rise up to the task to do the needful to sweep the streets clean. Of course, we have Ndlea. The agency has worked real hard. In fact, you saw the case of Abba Kyari, who got caught in the web of this. And if Abba Kyari could be involved in this, that's a celebrated Super Cup. If he could be engaged in this, it means that there are thousands and probably hundreds of top people, politicians who are making huge money from this. This is what they do. They will just, they feel that the best way they can operate is to arrest those that are not in their circle, so that they will be the only one distributing this substance. That's how it works. Particularly the security agencies, we saw every of this. So just imagine how much of this had gone into Nigeria, slipped into Nigeria before Abba Kyari's, Ndlea set him up because they need to make a mockery of him. Not because, we are glad that this happened, but I'm kind of thinking that not because Ndlea wanted to show that they are working and this is what they need to do, this is the right thing to do. No, Ndlea probably felt that Abba Kyari is taking too much of the shine, and there are some amount of money here and there. It's just like, it's more of conflict of interest. And Abba Kyari fell into the trap because they needed to disgrace Abba Kyari. They needed to take him out. Abba Kyari was beginning to become too big. That is why Abba Kyari is moving around, this way. And apart from that, that Abba Kyari is also involved in being bodyguards, and also he would be called upon, if you remember the case of Hush Puppy, that is presently in the United States in a prison there. He was also called by fraudsters to help them bully people or to help them attack another criminal. So he does all of this. It's so terrible. It's so bad. Now, we have all of this all over the world. We have cops like that, bad cops. We have bad agencies. And we have a lot. Very much huge of. We have so much of this also out of the world. Out there in the world. So what do we do? That's it. It starts from the home, as you heard from Dr. Abati. He said it starts from the home, from parents too. You have to observe your child, see your children, watch over them and see. Obviously, when they get to a certain age, there is so much little that you can do. There's a little that you can do to correct them. So it's during that period that they are growing up. Obviously, those that are from environments where poverty is so much high there, it's kind of difficult, but parents have to do something. They have to just do the needful because it starts from your home before the security agencies or the government steps into it. What are your thoughts? Like and share, subscribe to this channel. See you in the next update.